Hello everybody, welcome back to another fun day of math. Today we're looking at multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So here at the top of my page, I have whatever the date is today, and then the title of our notes. We are doing our notes today in a foldable. So this is the foldable that we're looking for. If you have this packet, it's page 3. But double check in your packet just to make sure. But in this packet that I have, it's page 3. But it looks like this. It says multiplying, it has an example, and then it says dividing and it has an example. And that's what we're going to use today. We're going to cut it around the outside, fold it in half, hot dog style, so that it looks like this. So this is what we're after right here. So this is what we're going to fill out today, is that foldable. And so let's switch over here, and here it is for us. And we're gonna just start filling it out. So we're gonna go through the steps here of how do I multiply rational expressions together, especially when they're polynomial expressions. So in this case, we do have 3 different steps that we're gonna use. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna write down the step, and then we are going to actually do the step. So the first thing that we have to do when we are multiplying is we have to factor everything. Okay, so you're going to want to factor every single piece of this rational expression that you can. So I always just start in the top left. Okay, so here I have x squared plus 6x. I do have a greatest common factor of x. So I can take out an x, which leaves me with x plus 6. The bottom here is x plus 6 squared is already factored. I'm just going to write it out twice. So instead of x plus 6 squared, we're going to write x plus 6. Okay? So I just wrote x plus 6, x plus 6. Okay, now I have x squared plus 7x plus 6. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 7. So hopefully we get that that's x plus 6 and x plus 1. And then on the bottom here, this right here is a perfect square. And it's really hard for me to write small, so give me a break here on this one. Okay, but that's a perfect square. So I should be able to factor that. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 1 is 1. So I can do x plus 1, x minus 1. And again, the order on that doesn't matter. So you could do x minus 1 first or x plus 1 first, as long as you have one of each. So here I factored everything, okay? And that's kind of the hardest step. Step 2 is that I need to multiply straight across, right? So how do I multiply fractions? I multiply fractions straight across the top. So I'm not going to actually distribute anything here. I'm just going to combine both of these fractions to make one fraction. So on the top, I have x plus 6, another x plus 6, and an x plus 1. And then on the bottom, I have x plus 6, another x plus 6, an x plus 1, and an x minus 1. So basically all I've done is I've taken these 2 fractions and I've put them together to make one fraction. Okay. Then the third step, my last step here, is to cancel, right? Cancel my common factors. Anything that's both on the top and the bottom can cancel because that is just 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rewrite this whole thing again. Normally when you are doing this yourself, you do not have to rewrite it this many times. However, for the sake of notes, I like to make sure that I know what I'm doing on every single step, and each step is very clear. So I'm going to be rewriting it just to make it super clear. Okay, so I've rewritten it from topic 2, or from step 2. Now I'm going to find anything that's common on both the top and the bottom. Okay, so I have an x plus 6 on the top and on the bottom, so those can cancel. Same thing with these x plus 6s, same thing with these x plus 1s. So what is left is I have an x on top. If you have nothing left on the top, it's always a 1. So just make sure that you always remember that. And then on the bottom, I have an x minus 1. And then the last thing, which we talked about last time as well, is that I have to include the values that x is not allowed to equal. And I am not allowed to have anything that would give me 0 on the bottom of a fraction. So in this case, this first parenthesis, if I have negative 6, right, that would give me 0 on the bottom of a fraction. So I'm not allowed to have negative 6. Same thing here, negative 6, but I don't have to write it twice, so that's nice. Here I have x plus 1, so if I had plugged in negative 1, I would get 0, which I can't have, so I'm not allowed to plug in negative 1. And this one, if I plug in 1, I would get 0, so I'm also not allowed to plug in 1. So what this tells me is that I can plug in any number I want for x. Positives, negatives, 0, fraction, decimals, anything I want, as long as that number is not negative 6, negative 1, or 1. And that's it. So our next example here is dividing. Dividing is the same idea. There's only one step that's different. Okay, and the only step that's different is the very first one, which in order to divide fractions, we have to copy dot flip. So that is actually my first step, is to copy dot flip, right? Or keep change or keep change flip, however you learned it, it's fine. But what that means is that my first step is to copy down the first equation, or the first fraction, excuse me. So my first fraction is going to stay exactly the same. So here I have it. Then instead of division, is turning to multiplication. That's the dot. And then the flip part means I flip the second fraction. So now I have x squared plus 4x minus 12 on top, and x squared minus 2x minus 15 on bottom. So that's step 1 when I'm dividing, is just you have to do the copy dot flip. And then after that, it's exactly the same as what we just did. So then the next step would be to factor, right? I have to factor everything. Yeah. I have to factor everything. So I'm going to go through this and I'm going to factor it. The top left, two numbers that multiply to negative 5 and add to negative 4 is x negative 5 and positive 1. So x minus 5, x plus 1. Two numbers that multiply to positive 4 and add to negative 4 is x minus 2. And another x minus 2. So negative 2, negative 2. There's my multiplication. Two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to 4 should get me x plus 6 and x minus 2. And then two numbers that multiply to negative 15 and add to negative 2 is x minus 5, x plus 3, plus 3. All right, so there I have factored every single one of these polynomials. So then my next step will be, same thing as over here, is to multiply. So I need to multiply straight across. Again, when you're doing these yourselves, you can condense these steps into one, so you don't have to keep rewriting this over and over and over. However, I am going to, because for the sake of notes, I like having everything written out. Okay, so I have x minus 5, x plus 1, and then x plus 6, x minus 2. So those are my all of my factors that are on the top of the fraction. And then on the bottom, I have x minus 2, x minus 2, x minus 5. Pen's a little jumpy today. X plus 3. Okay, so now I've multiplied it together. It is one fraction. So my very last step is to cancel and simplify. Cancel and simplify. So again, normally I would not write this all out again, but I am going to today. So x minus 5, x plus 1, x plus 6, x minus 2. So again, I'm just rewriting exactly what I wrote in step 3. So x minus 2, x minus 2, x minus 5, and x plus 3. All right. Now I need to look and see what can I cancel, right? I have an x minus 5 on both the top and the bottom. And I have an x minus 2 on both the top and the bottom. And that to me looks like that's it. That's all that I can cancel. So what's left on the top is an x plus 1 and an x plus 6. And what's left on the bottom is an x minus 2 and an x plus 3. And then the last thing is I just need to figure out what values of x I'm not allowed to have. Okay, so we're going to go through the whole bottom. So here, x cannot be 2, right? Because if I plug in 2, I would get 0. Here, again, 2, so I can't have it. Here, if I plug in 5, I would get 0 on the bottom, which I can't have. And then here, if I plug in negative 3, I would get 0 on the bottom, which I can't have. And then because I'm dividing, I also have to look at the original problem, which is right here. And so I have to check my other factors too, which is this factored, right, is x plus 6, x minus 2. And I couldn't have 0 on the bottom of that either. So I also cannot have negative 6 from this right here. Or positive 2, but I already have positive 2 written. So I couldn't have either one of these, either top or bottom, be equal to 0. So hopefully that makes sense. You guys have some practice now to do. Reach out if you have any questions or if you need any help at all. I'm here. And good luck, and let me know how it goes.